Even in this playoff, winning the MVP, throwing for 50. I mean, he's given us more experience on, oh, check that box. Check that box. So we can check that box and that box and that box. And we're still going to say, we all think he can win the Super Bowl, but if he doesn't win it, we're going to have to say, okay, you still got to check that box. And it's the same with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's just he hasn't checked as many boxes as a lot of guys yet. And so that's why we're wondering more about him. And that's why I'm saying I don't doubt you put him in this moment that he could have a great game. I mean, that to me would be doubt. If I looked at him and go, oh, gosh, I don't expect anything from him. I don't expect him to play well. That's not the case for me. I just don't know what I'm going to get exactly. And that's where I think that the questions come in.
What do you think about the job that Ryan Tannehill did this year? Do you think he can sustain it?
Did a great job. So happy for him. I don't know. And, you know, it's like everything else, is that when you have a body of work and you've only shown me this one time, I don't know what to believe you are. You know, granted, this was the last time, and this was a different scenario and all those things, but I sit here and go, is that the Ryan Tannehill I'm going to get for the rest of his career? Or is this just one of those seasons that came together and he's more the guy we saw in Miami? And I don't know the answer to that. And I hope it's the former, this year. I hope that's what we get the rest of his career. But I don't know the answer to that. So that to me is where it makes it so hard, as you try to assess where is he? What kind of contract do you give him? Do you bring him back? Do you let him go? All of those things, I don't know if anybody's going to have an answer to that. And you're going to have to try to weigh through that and figure out what you think Ryan Tannehill will be the rest of his career and what that means for him if you're, a Titans fan or a Titans organization or somewhere else that may try to grab him if he becomes a free agent.
What do you think of him this year?
I just saw a comfort level in what he was seeing. I've always felt that technique-wise, Ryan was pretty solid, so that he could be an accurate quarterback. But then you have to piece it together with all the different nuances and things that happen and imperfect world that you play in, and you have to do it in that world. And I thought he improved in that area. I think he was in a good situation that allowed him to not have to do it 35 or 40 times a game. So for any quarterback, it's easier to be better when you only have to do it so much. And then when you have to do it a lot, can you still be good in those situations? So there was a lot of great stuff that I saw from Ryan this year. But there's still things that I see and I wonder, okay, if you were put into a situation where you have to, again, I'll just throw the Titans out there. What if Derrick Henry goes somewhere else? Free agent, and what if they don't sign him or whatever? He goes somewhere else. What are the Titans? Do they look different? Does Ryan have to do and play differently? And can he play differently? And those are all the questions I have going into it and what I believe the Titans are going to have to figure out. And then they're going to have to assess, is he a better option than somebody else? What else is out there, or where we draft, or all of those things. So I'm excited for his future because he set himself up to put himself in a position where we now have those questions about him, right? I don't know about a year ago if people would have said, hey, maybe he is a franchise quarterback. I don't know if they would have said that a year ago. Now we're at least having that conversation, and he's probably going to need a couple more years to give us the complete answer to that question.
Heard some of the
Drew Lock went 4-5 at the end of the season, but was still fired the coordinator. How do you think he fits with what Pat Shurmur does?
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't seen enough of Drew Lock to know what he's going to be, and I think it always is important to make sure that what Pat Shurmur has been, he doesn't have to necessarily be that in Denver. He's got to be whatever Drew Lock needs him to be. And that will become the big question, is how they fit together, creativity within what Drew does well. Can he improve Drew and the shortcomings he has as well? So I don't really know. I mean, I just haven't seen enough or know enough about the connection to know what we're going to get in future years.
When you look at some of the Patriots' offensive shortcomings this year, in your mind, what needs to change this offseason for them to get back to the level that we're used to seeing from them?
Well, I first and foremost, find Gronk. Find the next Gronk. And I say that jokingly, but really, great offenses have go-to guys. That when the game's on the line, with backs against the wall, when you get one-on-one situations, do I have a guy I trust that can win? And not even trust that can win. Do I have a guy that can win? Do I have a guy that will make the big play in that moment most of the time? And Tom always had that with Gronk when he was there. And then he had that with Gronk and Edelman. And now you got two of those guys that can do that. And now you're going, all right, try to stop us, right? Try to double both of them or whatever. And even if you double both of them, now I feel pretty good about my third and fourth option, with the James White or somebody. Now you take one of those guys away, and now the whole game becomes harder for anybody, even for the great Tom Brady, to be able to generate wins in this business because everybody's talented. But that's what it's about, is how do I generate a win? You give me zone coverage, you can give me any receiver you want as long as they can be in the right spot and they can catch it. And that's what you saw a couple years ago, is teams go, we can't play a man-to-man because they got these guys. Let's play him in zone. And then Tom does his thing, and you have all Chris Hogan and those type of guys that have really good seasons, even though they're not great players. Okay, you take those pieces away, and now you go, okay, now our guys are more talented than their guys. We can go man-to-man. We can pressure Brady, and now what are they going to do? And so to me, it's about either improving their roster, getting another piece or two that can complement Julian in that, or one of these young guys separating themselves from year one to year two, or young guy to a veteran guy that can win more often and give Brady or whoever the quarterback is more options. And that option can also be running the football, right? I mean, where you take teams out of doing what they want to do because you can run the football. So, but some dimension has to be more dominant for them to help them compete with the explosive teams, the better teams in this league, and that's really where they struggle this year.
What do you think this league is losing by not having a team in St. Louis?
Well, I mean, I just know my experience, and my experience there was the people were great, the city was awesome. It impacted me and my family in a special way. It was great to see how they came along for the ride and how they supported us. And so I feel that way anywhere, whether St. Louis or anywhere. I mean, where there's great people, I'd love every one of those people to have a football team, to have something to get behind and cheer for. And, it disappoints me knowing my career in St. Louis that they don't have a team. But I believe there's lots of places out there that would love the same thing. But yeah, it was a special time, and the people there are special, and I'm always going to be connected to St. Louis because of it. And I would love to see them at some point get another team.
How are you looking at this game?
Finch has been appointed referee in this game. He was the controversial call in the NFC Championship with the Saints. What are your thoughts on him being appointed referee?
I think our officials do a great job. I have said this for years, that it's amazing how often they're right when you go back and watch something in super slow-mo, and how many times they do it right. And so we're all fallible. I mean, I've never in my entire life played the perfect game, and I've made some really bad decisions in the moment, even though I think I'm a really good player. And so it is what it is. I mean, it's a game where humans play, and the game's going fast, and there's lots of parts, and there's lots of things that you're seeing, and sometimes we miss, sometimes we make mistakes, but I don't think that stops us from being great at what we do. And so I tip my hat to our officials, because when we go back and watch replay and realize the percentage that they get it right based on what they see that we would never get right just watching it is impressive. And so I think they all do a great job. I think they all should have an opportunity to call a game in the Super Bowl, just like I think every player should have an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl. So I have no problems with the officiating crew, and I'm sure they're going to do a great job. Will they be perfect? Absolutely not. Will both fan bases be happy? Absolutely not. But that's the part of our game that you live with and you love, and I don't ever want to see that taken out of it. So really no problem with the crew that they put in there.
Kurt, a couple of Iowa guys talk Texans.
Okay.
You're Cedar Rapids, I'm Kelowna.
Okay.
So Deshaun Watson, what do you think he needs to do here to improve on what he's done? I mean, he's already one of the better quarterbacks in the league, but what's that next step for the Texans? Because, they blow a 24-0 lead.
Well, next step is consistency from him inside the pocket more than anything. He's really special. When he gets moving and does some of those things, it's just, it's rare. You can't teach that. And it's, a huge reason why he's had so much success. But he's got to develop more inside the pocket, be more consistent, footwork. And I say him, we point him, their offense as a whole needs to become more consistent. Having guys available, having consistency in what they do so their young quarterback can see and grow. The more moving parts there are, the more ambiguity there is within, what you do offensively or the way players play. That all hurts a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, because it's easy to build bad habits when you do that. And I think that's one of the reasons why when you watch the Texans, they're so up and down as a football team, and specifically as an offense, is that one game you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are going to be the next Super Bowl winners. And then the next game you're like, what the heck just happened? Where did their offense go? You should never see those kind of swings with an offense. And if you do, it lends me to think you're winning by talent when you win. You're not winning by being great when you win. And that's where I think they need to grow as an offense. And and even Deshaun, that he needs to clean up and get better at some of the little things so he can help increase that margin of error for them as a team, because it always starts with a guy with the ball in his hands on every snap, that you have to be consistent, and sometimes that overcomes some of that ambiguity or lack of consistency elsewhere.
Coach, what's the most fantastic play you remember in the history of NFL?
In the history of the NFL?
Yes.
Jeez. Gosh, I don't even know.
Most impacted to you?
I mean, for me, it was the Super Bowl, winning touchdown pass that I threw in the Super Bowl. Last 2 minutes doing that. But, I could turn to another Super Bowl and go, man, Santonio Holmes' catch and the throw that Big Ben made to him. I could look at that. I could look at Adam Vinatieri, kicking the field goal to beat me in the other Super Bowl, because it was the first time in NFL history that a game came down to the last play and a field goal winning. I just feel like every Super Bowl has one of those plays. And Edelman's catch a few years ago, phenomenal. It's just Marcus Allen. You remember when he turns field and there's a million of them when you say that. I don't even know how you even term the best, but that's the coolest thing, is I can't wait to see what that play is in this game. What's the game-changing play in this game that we'll be talking about, or we'll put into that category of, man, maybe that was the best play in Super Bowl history, or maybe that was, but there's going to be one, and who's going to make it, and what's it going to be? But I can't even begin to give you
Who's
one.
going to win and why?
We gotta go.
Oh, gotta go? I'm sorry, guys, I got to
Who's
roll.
going to win?
I'm picking San Fran right now.
Sorry, guys.
Yes.
Can you say hi to Lena for me? That's my coworker. She loves you.
Hi, Lena, what's going on? Sorry you're not here joining us.